And this might bother a few in the room, but there's not so much interest in solutions. Those large suites, pre-programmed, pre-designed to meet all your needs. It's more, I heard some laughing. It's more about methods. We're looking for the opportunity to discover potentials in our workforce and potentials in technologies and use those creatively to bring about widespread enhancements across our workforce. So those are some of the changes. That was my first question. What are the 3 drivers changing the way we think in bureaucracy? My colleagues and I have started to build work around this emerging thinking and considering the transformation of government. And in doing that, we've organized a reliable discipline for tackling government problems or challenges. The discipline is called Performance Architectural Science Systems, or PASS. If you haven't read PASS, you can find it. It's out there. It systematically combines science and technology to mature performance leadership. Performance leadership is that skin in the game you get from every single employee, where each one has an interest in changing the outcomes of the organization. It is the only means by which we can transform bureaucracies. That gets me into my second question. How is emergent thinking, this new thinking, in the application of PASS, affecting organizational outcomes? Now, I'm going to talk about 6 organizational outcomes, 3 of which are about developing performance leadership. 3 of them are about how you build that capability, that skin in the game among your employees. And in these, I think you'll start to see some of the things that Cloud and Green relate to. The second group, 3 more, have to do with how the structure of the organization reinforces performance leadership. And here you go. The first 3. Capability development, performance enculturation, and employee productivity. Capability development. For us, that is coaching our temporary teams to use models of their work, to use recursive analytics, and help monitor their work and how they can make enhancements. Really, it's about that first step to getting all employees involved in something within their domain that they can change. And I have an interesting, almost a funny story about this that has to do with us trying to do this work at the VA. I had a big video teleconferencing monitor put into a room where there was a lot of technicians working. And on there was a set of dashboard-like visualizations illustrating different kinds of drivers of work and their productivity. And again, I was doing capability development, so I was trying to engage them on owning those areas of work. And I came by one of the rooms, and I looked up and I see the monitor on the wall, and somebody had taped a big piece of paper over it, and taped a piece of paper over the little camera, you know, for the video teleconferencing. I was like, what is that? What's going on? And I walked around, people were a little sheepish, nobody wanted to really answer the question. And I find this one gal, and I was like, hey, what's with the monitor? And she goes, yeah, we weren't too comfortable with it. We felt like it was watching us. Every time we did something, the numbers moved. Okay. So there's a change in thinking, right? That's kind of old thinking. They felt like there was no real value in that, and it was actually, they had some kind of distorted idea as to what it was doing. So we've had to re-educate and help along those lines. The second example of developing performance leadership is one I call performance enculturation. This is our advanced media, our online media, that's helped us engage our employees and help create experiences for them to influence their awareness, their actions, and the way they use analytics. Right now I'm working on one of those initiatives. I can't really tell you details about it because you all run out and sell something to the VA, but we're working on one of those. And there was sort of a metaphor that kind of struck us when we were doing it. Picture this archer on a hill about ready to shoot at a target with his bow. Big, nice, beautiful bow, big, strong arm, pulls out this beautiful arrow, puts it on the string, pulls it back, aims, and just as he's about to shoot, he kind of lets it go halfway and then lets go. Of course, the arrow doesn't hit the target. kind of flops up in the air and hits them in the foot. That's what we often see when it comes to performance enculturation. We see people kind of halfway make an effort, and it ends up backfiring. So we've tried to encourage our executives to pull it all the way back, shoot as hard as you can, go full media. The third area that has to do with performance leadership is that employee productivity. I'm glad that V3 spoke before me, because we're looking at V3 for this very issue. This is all for us in productivity about infrastructure streamlining, trying to get all communications, all computing into the fastest, most consistent platform we can, so that our employees are concentrating, 100% concentrating on their value-added work. They're not distracted by the devices themselves. Like for me to use my virtual access to the VA, I'm looking at 40-minute up boot time. So I'm actually in doing work. Plus the black screen at lunch. So, you know, I've lost like, you know, a third of my day to the device. But there's another interesting way that we struggle with the way people think. They have this butts and seats mentality, right? So basically managers will say, well, if I can't see that person sitting in a seat from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., how do I know they're working? All right. So we're trying to overcome that. We're trying to create some new, fresh thinking about that. We don't need you to be in the butt and seat mode. So the other area I mentioned to you is how we reinforce performance leadership structurally. And there's three of those. There's reusable expertise, performance accountability, and cost control. And just to give you a heads up, cost control, I'll talk about greening. I'll get there. So with reusable expertise, this is your automatic capture, storage, rating, and presentation of work artifacts. Think Amazon.com. If everything that you purchase on Amazon.com was a work artifact, for us, we're a large organization, so every memo, every policy paper, every draft was something that was either mined from a library, it was tagged, easy to find, you could grab it, share that expertise, or it was pushed to you based on your online persona and the analytics behind it. So Amazon.com, that's one vision we have. I don't have an example of that at the VA because we haven't quite got there yet. But in the future bureaucracy, that's one thing that we want to do. The second was performance accountability. And in here, you see a lot of people say, hey, you know, if I just set up a dashboard, I'll get better performance. And you and I, we know that's not true. It's more complex than that. As an organizational architect, I can explain why that doesn't work. But still, there's some opportunities here. We look at more as modular performance architectures, those performance architectures that we use throughout the VA, how we collect and present information that's really owned by the individual. They see it as part of their strategy for achieving the goals of the organization. And if you're not familiar with it, you remember 1993 Government Performance Reporting Act? Well, that was modernized, if you will, 2010. So basically, Congress has set up a new law that says all of us have an opportunity to go out and do more in this area. So if you're into performance accountability, you have an opportunity.